If God is for us, then who the is against us? Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and take a man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and take a man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and take a man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and take a man up top.
Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Wealth Mindset with jdgarnier. Welcome to the first full work week of 2026. And as always, I hope you're ready to have a productive week. And as we start this year off, as we start this week off, I want to reiterate that the goal for this show, the purpose of many of my messages is to help you walk in wealth. What does that mean? To me, walk is an action word. It's how you live your life. It's how you conduct yourself. And the goal is to understand that we can accumulate things, but ultimately you are the wealth. It's not your investments. It's not your real estate. It's not your business. It's you. And when you start out life, you don't have any of those things. The only thing you have is a specific set of talents, abilities, gifts, ideas, habits, disciplines, and inclinations that form the basis of where you start out in life. And once you tap into the things that God gave you, you start to build wealth. So again, you are the wealth. Listen, man, first things first, please follow, like, subscribe, and share if you like my content, if you like my message, if you like what I'm talking about. I'm trying to be more consistent here and deliver you thought-changing perspective on how to accumulate and build wealth in your life, not just monetarily, but intellectually, spiritually, and everything beyond. And so I appreciate your support. Again, like, subscribe, and share. You can follow me on all social media platforms at jdgarnier, Garnier JD. And you can also get, this Melanomics mug. Success is not about how hard you strike a nail, but how willing you are to consistently hammer away. And it's based on a theme that I talk about often. You'll hear me mention the word Melanomics. And Melanomics is a set of foundational economic principles that apply specifically to our community. And I think if followed, we can close the wealth gap in one generation. We all know the stats. Our average wealth is 10 times less that of white families. We control less than 4% of the wealth in this country. And while we are creating individual millionaires, we are creating individual wealth creators. It's not indicative of what the collective looks like. And so how do we broaden that scope? How do we take this $2 trillion in spending power that we have and circulate it throughout our community so that we can be economically independent and economically viable? And so if you don't get that from what I talk about, then I'm not fulfilling my mission and I'm not fulfilling my purpose. So if you're checking me out this morning, I have a full work week ahead. So I just want to get on here and just talk for a little bit and prepare myself mentally, not just for the week, but for the year. 2025 was a great year. It was my best year ever professionally. I brought in more assets than I ever have before in 1 year. So I'm fortunate, I'm blessed for that, but I don't want to be comfortable. I don't want to be comfortable. I don't want to look at my year and say, okay, I've reached it. I've did it. I've hit the pinnacle. I don't want to be comfortable and relax. I want to keep my foot on the gas and continue to build on what I'm currently doing. And that's one thing I was thinking about over the weekend, and that's comfort zones and how dangerous they are, even as you're ascending in life. Because the more comfortable you are, the less productive you are. The more comfortable you are, the less control you have. And the more productive you are, the less you grow. Right. And so when you get comfortable, right, it feels good. It feels safe. It feels comforting, but you can't produce anything in a zone of comfort. And so I always think about, my time in law school. I've never been the greatest studier, but I have a great memory, and I know how I learn. But when I first started law school, they would give us all these briefs and all these things to read, and we would literally have to read all day and all night long. And I would get all my books out and I would get my notes and I would get in the bed and get comfortable at night, and I would start reading my briefs. And within 10 minutes, I was knocked out asleep. And what I realized pretty quickly is that I can't be comfortable and productive at the same time. There's no way that I could get in the comfort of my bed and all of the amenities surrounding me and expect that I would still be as productive as I should be to learn all the stuff I have to learn. And so I realized that me being comfortable was a detriment to my productivity. I could not be comfortable and productive at the same time. And so instead, what I did, instead of studying in the bed, I went to the library or I went to a coffee shop or I got somewhere that was um, allowed me to focus, right? A place that was uncomfortable, a place that forced me to sit up straight, place that forced me to lock in on the information. And when I took myself out of my comfort zone, I was able to focus and I was able to retain the information and I was able to grow. And that analogy applies to our life because a lot of times we get comfortable and the next thing you know, we sleep at the wheel. We're not retaining anything. We're not growing because we are comfortable. And for me, 2026 is the year that we break in comfort zones. 2026 is the year that we are coming out of the shell, that we are done with the fear and the excuses for why we're not doing what we are supposed to be doing. And so I hope that this is hitting home with whoever's looking at this because the way society is set up, and especially in a democracy, right? Many times you trade rights for comfort. And the more comfortable you are made by society, a lot of times the less rights you have. You want to be comfortable. You don't want to be offended, right? You don't want to be um, at risk or danger of something happening. Well, now you have to sacrifice something. You have to give up something. You have to trade off some of your freedoms for that comfort. And so the more comfortable you get, the less freedom you have. You're constricted. You're restricted. You ever lay in a big bed and one of those big plush comfortable beds, right? That's soft and fluffy, and you're laying in the bed, and the softer it is, the fluffier it is, the harder it is for you to move. The more comfortable and soft and plush the pillow or the mattress is, the harder it is for you to control or move your body. You lose control when you gain comfort. And so how much control are you willing to give up of your life, of your purpose, of what you're supposed to be doing just to be comfortable? How much of it are you willing to give up? Because you cannot do both. You cannot be productive and comfortable at the same time. So not only do comfort zones restrict you, not only do they um, help you lose control, but you stop growing. When you're too comfortable, you're not developing anymore. You're not growing. You know, when I first started working out, I wanted to get big. And so I started reading all of this material on the body, on lifting weights, on just everything that you need to know to kind of develop yourself. And over the years, I gained 15, 20, 25 pounds of muscle. I was committed to the process. And during that growth period, I was always changing up my workouts. I was always doing everything I was supposed to do. And then at some point, I hit a peak. Some point, I felt like, you know what? I done did everything I can do. I know what I'm doing. I don't need any help. I hit a peak and I got comfortable. And what happens is when you stop challenging yourself, when you stop introducing new exercises to your body gets complacent. And if you're not growing, you start to shrink. Just like a tree, if you're not growing, you're dying. And so I hit that wall and I got complacent and my strength didn't maintain. That's the thing. You think when you get comfortable, you're just going to stay in place. You're not growing, but you're just going to stay in place. No, what happens is you get weaker. You get weaker. When you get comfortable, you don't maintain the status quo. You get weaker because you are relying on the comfort and the amenities instead of your own strength. That's what comfort zones do to us. If they make us weaker. And so this is not the year for that. Professionally, there's something that I call a business comfort zone. And what happens is if you want to grow in business, you are going to have to be able to assert yourself in front of anybody. You're going to have to be able to do business with anybody. You are going to have to negotiate and communicate and essentially be able to assert yourself in any room if you're going to continue to grow. And a lot of times professionally, we get to a point where we're in a comfort zone, right? We got a nice salary, we have a nice job, and we start to associate ourselves with people who are at our professional level or in our, what I call your natural network, just a natural network of people that you connect with, associate with, or gravitate towards. And that's fine. But if your expertise or what you need to do professionally is needed above and beyond your natural network, then you have to expand that. You have to come out of that business comfort zone and be able to put yourself in different rooms. And, when I started in finance, I was in my early 20s. Um, you know, I didn't have as much confidence as I had now. I didn't have any real direction or mentorship on how to grow a practice, on how to do business with different people. And a lot of times in those situations, I would cower, right? I'm in a conference or an event, and I'm the only black man there, and I will find the first corner. I would stare at the phone for hours at a time before I made one phone call because I was scared of rejection. When it was time for me to get a meeting, I wouldn't speak with the same confidence that I knew the information. I would cower, I would suppress myself. I was staying in my zone of comfort in terms of the type of clients that I was prospecting, but that wasn't helping me to grow. And what I realized is that if I was going to take my business, if I was going to take my practice, if I was going to take my life to the next level, I had to come out of that. I had to be able to navigate in these spaces. I had to be able to assert myself in these rooms. I had to be able to expand who I was capable of being in front of, what I was capable of delivering in terms of value. And so I had to come out of my comfort zone. And the only way to do that, or the first way to do that, is trial and error. You got to go to failure. You cannot be afraid to fail. And once I overcame the idea that failure was necessary, once I accepted that, that's when I started to develop. See, a lot of times we're in a comfort zone because we're afraid to fail. We're afraid of that rejection. We're afraid of what that rejection is going to say about us. We're afraid that it's going to tell us maybe we're not good enough. Sometimes you're not, but that's the only way you're going to get better. We're afraid of that rejection because it doesn't validate the opinion that we want to have of ourselves. And so we stay in the comfort zone. But the only way out is through. You have to fail forward. When I got comfortable and started making phone calls, okay, tell me what you disagree with. I'm curious. I'm very curious. When I did finally get over the fear of rejection, I started failing more, but then I started succeeding. What happens is you develop a resilience to the pain. Just like when you're working out and you push yourself to the limit and those muscles are burning and your whole body is on fire and you go to failure. And then when you fail, what happens is your body regenerates. It restores itself. It replenishes itself. It regenerates itself so that the next time you handle that level of pressure, it can handle it and just a little bit more. And when you fail, what happens is your mind, your intellect, your spirit, they regenerate, they redevelop, they replenish themselves so that you can handle that level of failure and just a little bit more. Now you know how to handle that rejection. Now you've seen that problem before. Now you understand how to handle yourself in this situation. And you develop this foundational wisdom that nobody can ever take from you. And that comfort zone expands and you become comfortable in any environment. When I tell you I have seen every situation that you can think of, I've seen every situation that you can think of in wealth management, every problem that you can think of, every circumstance that's not going to go right. I've seen it all. Some of them I've succeeded at, some of them I couldn't fix. But that failure, that experience has developed a resilience in me that gives me confidence in any situation that I face going forward. And so if you're trying to come out of your comfort zone, if you're stuck in a place where you're not satisfied, where you are not happy, where you feel like you are stagnant, the only way out is through. You're going to have to fail forward. You're going to have to get over your fear of rejection and start failing forward. That failure is going to propel and progress you into a foundational state of confidence when you're ready for the world. I promise you. Once you know what you want to do, you start failing in that direction. You start putting yourself in rooms where you're uncomfortable. You start asserting yourself in ways that you may not be confident to do yet. You start reaching for opportunities that you may not even necessarily feel like you're ready for. And as you fail forward, that is going to develop the confidence that you need to break out of that comfort zone. So that's the message for the first week in 2026. I hope you have a productive week, and I'll talk to you soon. Remember, change begins from within. Wealth mindset.